So again, this tutorial is to make a half hexagon. It's quite useful to have if you want to keep a straight edge to a blanket. This blanket that I've got here, I've done on the two sides. I would put in a half hexagon to keep the edges nice and straight. The half hexagon that I'm going to make today, I'm going to do to match the hexagons that I did for the previous tutorials. As before, I'm using a double knit yarn and a 5mm hook. We're going to start, as always, as we did with the other hexagons, with a chain, and we need to do a chain 4. So slip knot onto the hook, then we're going to work 4 chain. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to join into a ring with a slip stitch. The first stitch is going to be a chain 1, and then we're going to work 3 puff stitches into the ring with 3 chains in between, where for the standard size hexagon we would have had the 6. So we yarn over into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over into the ring, pick up a loop, yarn over into the ring and pick up a loop. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops at the same time, chain 3, and then work the second puff stitch. So there's 1 and 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all of the loops together, chain 3, I'm going to work a third puff stitch into that ring. So there we've got the 3 puff stitches with the 2 chain spaces in between. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn your work over, and we're going to work into the top of this puff stitch, and into that puff stitch we're going to work another puff stitch. So yarn over into the stitch, 1, 2 and 3, yarn over and pull through all of the loops, and we're going to chain 3 as we would have done after or in between each of the puff stitches. I'll just move that out of the way so that you can see a little bit better. We're now going to work 2 puff stitches with 3 chains in between into this first chain space. So we've got 1, 2, 3, yarn through all of the stitches, chain 3, and we're working another puff stitch into this same 3 chain space, followed by 3 chain, and we're going to work the same into this next 3 chain space, which is 1 puff stitch, 3 chain and 1 puff stitch, 3 chain, and again we're going to work into this puff stitch here, so we'll need to actually work into the stitch itself. So yarn forward and into the stitch, 1, 2 and 3. So where we would have had 12 puff stitches on the second row, we've now got 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So again we're going to chain 1, turn over and again the first puff stitch is going to be into this puff stitch here. So we yarn over 1, 2 and 3, then yarn over and pull through all of the loops, followed by chain 3. We're now going to work 1 puff stitch into this first chain 3, chain 2, and then we're in the corner that will have the 2 corners, and into those we're going to work 1 puff stitch, 2 chain and another puff stitch. You notice that we're only doing 2 chains in between each of the stitches now. That's to keep the shape of the hexagon correct. So after the 2 puff stitches with the 2 chains in between into this corner, we're going to do 1 puff stitch into the next 3 chain space. Followed by 2 chain, and as we're at the next corner we're going to do 1 puff stitch, 2 chain and 1 puff stitch, 2 chain. Into the next 2 chain space we're going to work 1 puff stitch, followed by 2 chain, and then we're going to do the final puff stitch into the top of the last puff stitch. So we've got 1, 2 and 3, yarn over and pull through all of the stitches and finish with a chain. So you can see now, if we fold this if we fold this hexagon in half, you can see that we've got row 1, which is this row 2, which is this row, and row 3, which is this row. So we're now going to work the half double row. We're going to work another chain, which is going to count as the first half double. Flip your work over and work another half double into the top of the first puff stitch. Then we're going to work 3 half doubles into the 3 chain space. Three half doubles into the next 3 chain space, and we've now come to the corner. So into the corner we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chains and 2 half doubles. And then into the next excuse me, into the next 2 half doubles, into the next 2 chain spaces we're going to work 3 half doubles. So there we've got 1, 2 and 3. Over to the next chain space where we do another 3 half doubles. 1, 2 and 3. We're at the next corner, so we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chain excuse me, and another 2 half doubles, three half doubles into the next 2 chain space, and again the same into the next 2 chain space, which is 3 half doubles, and then we're going to work 2 half doubles into the top of the last puff stitch there. So there's 1 and 2. So we'll turn over, and this row's quite an easy row. We're going to work a half double in each stitch along, but into the corners we'll work the 2 half doubles, 2 chain and 2 half doubles again. So chain 1, work a half double into each stitch along the row, until we get to the first corner, where we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chain and another 2 half doubles to keep the shape. And then again we're going to work a half double in every stitch along. So again you might have to just slide the stitches along slightly so that you don't miss that first half double that tends to be a little bit hidden. And we carry on working 1 half double in each stitch across to the next corner, and I'll see you when we get to the corner. Once you're at the next corner, again we're going to work 2 half doubles, 2 chain, 2 half doubles, and then 1 half double in each stitch, not forgetting the first one that tends to be a little bit hidden, and work 1 half double in each stitch all the way to the end, and we're going to work 2 half doubles into the very last stitch. So now we've got the last row onto the 3 sides, but to neaten off the edge of the half hexagon, I find it's easy to just work into the top of each of the puff stitches and also into the body of the puff stitches with a half double. So the first one will go into the top of this first stitch, and then I'll do a half double into the actual stitch, just catching a couple of the loops of the puff stitch. The next one will go into the top of the stitch, the next one into the actual stitch, and so on. And then when we get to the original starting circle, which is here, I'm going to work 2 half doubles into that circle, and then again we've got 1 half double into the puff stitch and 1 half double into the top of the puff stitch, a half double into the next, puff stitch and into the top. into the puff stitch. Doesn't really matter where this stitch goes as long as it catches into the puff stitch itself, just to give a neater edge along this side, and then again into the top of the stitch, and we're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. So that gives us the half hexagon, and when you come to join, we've got a side there that will match the side of the hexagon, and the two sides that will match in for the joining together of the three. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.